Welcome back to the St. Christopher's Window series. We're on window number 6, where Jesus is walking on the water. This window was donated by Hugh and Ellen Dent in memory of Clyde Dent and Paul and Hilda Dudick. So this is one of the most moving gospel stories that many people are familiar with, even people who aren't Christian, hearing about Jesus walking on the water. To start with, right before this event, Christ went up a mountain alone to pray to God. And what a great model for us to remind ourselves we need to take time alone just with God to grow in a relationship with Him and to understand His will for our life. As he was praying, he knew that the apostles were being battered by a storm. So it says it was the fourth watch of the night, which is between 3 and 6 a.m. That's the darkest hours of the night, just before dawn. So Christ comes out to them on the water. And we can think of this darkness of the night, the fourth watch of the night, as the spiritual phase called the dark night of the soul. This is a time where we can feel completely abandoned by God, abandoned by those around us, and feeling completely alone. And God doesn't leave us alone, but He allows this to happen to purify us from any attachments to the consolations we may receive from Him that make us feel good, or from all the positive worldly things that we experience. Because ultimately, our deepest love needs to be rooted in God alone, not because of what He gives us in consolation, but because He is God and He is the one that created us. So when we experience this dark night of the soul, it's not something to despair about. And ultimately, Christ will come to us, walking on the water. And let us be like Peter, having the trust and confidence and courage to ask Christ, "Bid me come to you." He asked if he could come to him on the water. So Peter begins to walk on the water towards Christ. And eventually, like all of us, doubt begins to set in Peter, and he begins to sink. When we doubt, we sink. But here, as Peter's sinking, Christ, in His strength, is standing there with His arm outstretched. He will not let him drown. We may sink when we doubt, but we always must keep in mind that Christ is there for us. When the apostles returned on the boat with Christ after this event, they all fell down and worshiped Christ. And this is a lesson for all of us. When we lose everything, when we're in the complete darkest of our life, and Christ is still there to pick us out of it, that's when we really recognize how important it is to worship Him. All the things that we found security in before pale in comparison to the love of Christ. So when we are in a period of joy, let us thank God for our blessings. And when we're in a period of darkness, let us never lose hope that Christ is standing right there, ready to pick us up.